Hi everyone, this lecture is on design of hydrodynamic journal bearing. The journal bearing is used to bear the radial load. As we know that the journal bearing is used to bear the radial load, and hydrodynamic lubrication is the lubrication occurred by motion of the journal and shape of the journal and bearing. Means in hydrodynamic lubrication there is no need of any external source to pump the lubricant. The lubrication is occurred due to self pressure difference developed due to the motion of the journal and the shape of the journal. So this is an example of hydrodynamic lubrication. So it is called hydrodynamic journal bearing. Now come to the figure. In this figure, O is the center of bearing, O dash is the center of journal, W is the radial load acting on the journal or shaft, N is the normal reaction on shaft by the bearing, and R is represented by the, and the journal radius is represented by the R. Now come to this figure. This is the system of journal and bearing at rest. It means at rest the journal or shaft is on rest on the bearing. Means the point of contact occurs here. This is the point of contact at rest. So in this situation, this load W, the radial load on the shaft, acts on the bearing, and the bearing reacts and give the normal reaction here on the shaft, that is N. So at rest we can easily say that by equilibrium this N will be equal to W. Now suppose when the journal starts to rotate, suppose the direction of rotation is clockwise, when the journal starts to rotate, due to this motion of rotation at the point of contact the frictional force comes in the picture. Because the motion is clockwise, here motion is clockwise, the frictional force at the point of contact occurs like this rightward here, because at this point the motion along left side, leftward, so frictional force comes here. Suppose this is the frictional force, this is rightward. Due to this friction force acting on the journal starts to roll on the bearing in that direction. Suppose it comes at that point. This is the point after roll, and this is the point at rest. Due to the frictional force, under this frictional force the journal roll on the bearing and suppose comes at that point. Now at that point we can see here, this is the W, which is the radial load acting on the journal, and now the point of contact moves from here to here. At this point of contact the normal reaction occurs. This is the N. This is the normal reaction by the bearing on the journal. Now due to this rotation frictional force also occurs. This is the frictional force here, this is the frictional force F, it is represented by capital F. Now we can make a Now here we can make a parallelogram taking the sides as n and the friction force F. The diagonal of this parallelogram gives the load W. This parallelogram is such that the resultant means the diagonal gives the load W. This now the normal reaction is now at the point of contact is in this direction. Here one very important concept is what will be the value of n. At rest n is equal to W, but when the journal starts to roll over the bearing, what will be the value of this normal reaction n. For this we can see here this W resultant load, we can extend this W and it meets the radius or diameter of shaft or journal at this point. Now from the center of the journal O to this point, this distance, take this distance as radius and draw a circle. This circle is called friction circle. What will be the radius of this circle? Suppose this is x. From the triangle, look here, this is the angle theta. The journal is rolled over the bearing by the angle theta, so we can write sin theta equal to x upon r, where x is the radius of the friction circle and r is the radius of journal. For this we can see here from this triangle, this and this. From this triangle we can write, if this angle is theta, then this angle will also be theta. So sin theta will be x upon this is r, radius of journal. So here written sin theta equal to x upon r. For very small value of theta, we can write sin theta and tan theta is equal to theta. So sin theta for the very small angle of theta means the sin theta can be written as 0 and tan theta also. So we can equivalent this sin theta is equivalent to tan theta. This is 0 for the very small angle of theta. Now we can replace this sin theta by the tan theta, so x comes r tan theta. This is the radius of this friction circle. So the frictional torque Tf, so the frictional torque Tf will be, we know that the frictional torque will be load into distance, so W into x, because here the resultant load is W, this. So Tf equal to W into x, so we can write W r tan theta. Now this tan theta can be replaced by coefficient of friction F, because you know that coefficient of friction F is tan some angle and that angle is called friction angle. So here we have replaced this tan theta by frictional force F assuming that this theta is the angle of friction. Now this tan theta can be replaced by the coefficient of friction F WR. So this is the frictional torque, and we know that the frictional torque is nothing, it is the force into radius. So by comparing this, we can write the frictional force is F equal to coefficient of friction small f into W by comparing these two equations. So again this frictional force comes out F into W as the case in figure 1 at rest. Here also friction force is F into W because N equal to W. Here friction force should be F into N, but here N is not equal to W, but by some explanation we can write the same value, the friction force equal to F into W for the small roll over the bearing by the journal. It can be explained in another way also. Suppose now come to this slide. It is easier approach than the earlier. This is the normal reaction N acting on the point of contact of journal and bearing. This is the W load, this is the W radial load on the journal. This is the frictional force F. This is the resultant of F and N is again W. Now this W can be resolved in two forces, W cos theta and W sin theta, along the radius and perpendicular to the radius, or we can say that along the tangent line. Now this N, by the equilibrium condition, this frictional force F can be written as equal to W sin theta. So here written F equal to W sin theta. Now the frictional torque TF simply F into R, frictional force into radius of the journal. So we can write W R sin theta. If you replace the R sin theta as X, then it can be written as Wx. This X is nothing, it is the radius of friction circle. This is the friction circle X. This. So simply the radius of friction circle will be R sin theta. This R sin theta. Sometimes in some competitive exams it is asked what is friction circle in case of journal bearing. The friction circle is, in the case of journal bearing, is the circle that radius will be equal to R sin theta, where R is the radius of journal and theta is the angle by which the journal rolls over the bearing, and it is also calculated from the coefficient of friction, means it can be the angle of friction also. So here same expression comes out, TF equal to W into X, where X equal to R sin theta is the radius of friction circle. Now again for very small theta, sin theta will be equivalent to tan theta. So TF can be written as WR tan theta, and this tan theta can be replaced by the coefficient of friction F, so FWR. Now this component of force W cos theta will be equal to this normal reaction N. So N will be equal to W cos theta. For very small value of theta, this cos theta can be written equal to 1. So simply N equal to W. So for very small value of theta, again the normal reaction will be equal to W. So it is also in that case also the bearing load can be written as W. In actual it is N, but with some assumptions we can write the bearing load is W. The same explanation, it is another method to explain. Now come to the next slide, previous slide. Now come to the previous slide here. The figure 2 where the friction circle is defined, it is at lower RPM, means the speed of journal is very low, means it is very slow. So this is the case 2. When the speed is increased, the case 3 comes. This is the case 3. Now here, due to the rotation of the journal, see the figure 2 here, due to the rotation of the journal, some quantity of lubricants comes into this space. This region or space is called wedge region. So due to the motion of the journal, the lubricants comes into the wedge region, and when the speed is further increased, these lubricants comes into the wedge region at some pressure, means with some force, and this force is generated due to the pressure difference. Here pressure is different, and due to the wedge region, here vacuum occurs, and the lubricant starts to flow from high pressure to lower pressure, and with increase of the speed of journal, the lubricants totally comes into this region and starts to lift the journal. And due to the motion of the journal, after lifting the journal by the lubricant, it starts to float and comes at that position. Starts to float and comes in that position at full run. This is the case of full run. When the journal is at full run, due to the force exerted by the lubricant, the journal starts to float, and due to the rotation of the journal, it comes at that position. Now in that position, means at full run, there is full film lubricant, means complete lubrication occurs. There is no any boundary to boundary contact. There is the thick film lubrication, or we can say full film lubrication. In real sense, it is not concentric. The shaft is not concentric with the bearing in the real sense. Now look here, further increase in RPM attracts lubricant to come into the wedge shape region, and at this position, one position occurs where the film thickness is minimum. This is denoted by H0. H0 is the minimum film thickness. This minimum film thickness depends upon the RPM, load, clearance, quantity of lubricants. How much lubricant is present here, on these factors this minimum film thickness depend. And this phenomena of lubricant is due to the converging oil. Now look here, RPM progressively increased. RPM means the speed of journal. More and more lubricant adhering to the journal surface, and journal starts to move along RPM. Final, enough pressure is built up, the journal lift starts floating, and full film is created. This is the case of full run. So this is the concept behind the hydrodynamic lubrication, or we can say hydrodynamic journal bearing. Now some important points I want to share, that in case of hydrodynamic lubrication or hydrodynamic journal bearing, lubricant supply at atmospheric pressure, because there is no any use of external pressure. So lubricants here lubricant is supplied at atmospheric pressure, and continuous supply and adequate supply is required. Continuous and adequate supply is required because the whole pressure is generated due to the quantity of lubricant. If lubricant is not present in sufficient quantity, then the pressure does not generate and the journal does not float, and the full lubrication does not achieved. So continuous and adequate supply is required in the case of hydrodynamic lubrication. In case of hydrostatic, this lubricant supply is at some higher pressure due to the use of pump or any other external device. Now in case of hydrodynamic lubrication, lubrication occurs due to wedge action. Here the wedge action occurs, and due to the wedge action the oil or lubricant starts converging, and the journal finally lifted up. While in case of hydrostatic bearing, this lubrication occurs due to the external device like pump. At lower speed of journal, at lower RPM, bonded lubrication means metal to metal contact occurs. This is the case of lower RPM. This is the case of lower RPM. If RPM is lower, then metal to metal contact occurs. So here it is written at lower RPM bonded lubrication means metal to metal contact occurs. Full lubrication occurs at high speed. The full run means at higher speed the full lubrication means thick film lubrication occurs. High load can squeeze the lubricant resulting into bonded lubrication. Very high load means very high value of W. Here the W is the radial load of the shaft on the bearing. This is the W. This W. Higher value of load W may squeeze the lubricant from this region, and again boundary to boundary means metal to metal contact occurs. So hydrodynamic journal bearing is not used for high bearing load. This is applicable at low load and high speed. Hydrodynamic journal bearing is applicable at low load and high speed, such like IC engines, motor, steam turbine, etc. So this is the concept of hydrodynamic journal bearing. Now come to the how this bearing means how the hydrodynamic journal bearing is designed. For this first I would like to explain what are the variables in the design of hydrodynamic journal bearing. In hydrodynamic journal bearing, mainly the important parameters are minimum wire film thickness H0. I have already explained what is the H0. This is the minimum wire film thickness. coefficient of friction F, flow rate of lubricant, because for hydrodynamic lubrication the sufficient amount of lubricant is required, so it is also important variables in the design of hydrodynamic journal bearing. And the another important parameter is temperature rise of the lubricant, that is the delta T. These four parameters or variables defines the how the bearing is performing. Means the value of H0, because minimum wire film thickness H0 is required, otherwise metal to metal contact occurs and ultimately the hydrodynamic journal bearing will fail. The coefficient of friction F has also a role. This is the flow rate of lubricant, this is the temperature rise of lubricant, that is delta T. These four parameters defines how well the bearing is performing. Means the performance of bearing depends on these four parameters: H0, coefficient of friction F, Q and delta T. So this is called performance parameter. So it should be in satisfactory limit for better performance of the bearing. These four parameters should be in satisfactory limit. This H0 means minimum oil film thickness must be sufficient to ensure thick film lubrication. The coefficient of friction F should be as low as possible, consistent with the adequate oil film thickness. The Q, the flow rate of lubricant, the flow rate of lubricant for the flow rate of lubricant, be sure that an adequate supply of lubricant for full film lubrication. Adequate supply is required, so it is also a very important parameter to define the performance of bearing. This Q again lubricant supply, and there should be maybe side leakage. Delta T, this is the temperature rise. Be sure that the maximum oil temperature is acceptable. Beyond the maximum oil temperature, the bearing material get deteriorated, and that maximum temperature in most cases is 93 degrees centigrade to 121 degrees centigrade. So here heat dissipation, the role of heat dissipation comes here. So these four parameters are the important parameters which define the performance of the bearing. Remember that the H0, the coefficient of friction F, the flow rate of lubricant Q and the temperature rise delta T, these four parameters defines the performance of the bearing. Now the designer has not control over these parameters. Means initially the designer can't control the H0, minimum film thickness. He cannot control the coefficient of friction, he cannot control the Q, because in the bearing how the lubricant behaves, on that situation this Q depends. He also does not control the temperature rise directly. He controls these parameters but not directly, indirectly. So how these parameters is controlled by the designer? To know this, now come to the next set of variables in the journal bearing. Next set of variable is viscosity of lubricant, mu. Bearing pressure, P. You know that P is the W upon projected area, LD, where L is the length of bearing and D is the diameter of journal or bearing. Because clearance is very small, so diameter of journal and diameter of bearing can be taken as equal, because clearance is very small. N is the journal speed, journal RPM, N. Bearing dimensions, that is L, D, clearance C, beta. Beta defines the it is full journal bearing or partial journal bearing. If the value of beta is 360 degree, then it is the full journal bearing. If it is 120 degree, then it is the partial journal bearing. So these are the another set of parameters. The designer works directly on these parameters only. By controlling these parameters, the designer can control the performance parameter H0, F, Q and delta T. The bearing performance parameter depends on these parameters. These parameters are either known or under the direct control of designer. Okay, it means the designer has to work on these parameters to control these parameters, the performance parameters of the bearing. Now this bearing pressure P, the unit bearing pressure is the load per unit of projected area of the bearing in running condition. We know that it is the W upon LD. It depends upon number of factors like bearing material, operating temperature, etc. Clearance, this C, clearance has very important role in the journal bearing. Clearance may increase during operation due to wear. So if initially we have or designer has put some clearance, this clearance may vary or increase during operation due to wear of the bearing surface. Now, so in this slide we have to remember that these are the parameters mu, P, N and the bearing dimensions L, D, C, beta. These are the parameters on which designer has control, and by controlling these parameters, the target of designer is to control these parameters, because these parameters describe the performance of the bearing H0, F, W, Q and delta T. So there must be a relation between these parameters, means this set of parameters and this set of parameters. There must be a relation, means these parameters, how the performance parameters, means H0, F, Q, delta T depends upon these parameters. There should be a relation between this. There should be relations between this. To obtain the relation between these parameters and these parameters, several researchers or scientists or engineers had worked. Several. The relation between these two groups of parameters is required to design the bearing. The most acceptable relationship is given by Raimondi and Boyd. Raimondi, I have already told you that many engineers, scientists had worked to develop the relationship between these two groups of parameters, but the most acceptable is the work done by Raimondi and Boyd. Actually, Raimondi and Boyd works on the differential equations developed by the Reynolds, and they uses mathematical simulations to obtain the approximate solution of differential equations that quantitatively describe film lubrication developed by Reynolds. In the fluid dynamics, the Reynolds is very well known researcher, or we can say scientist. Reynolds, the Reynolds has generated differential equations for the film lubrication, but there is no general solution to these equations because their boundary condition is required to solve the differential equation, and the boundary condition is different in different conditions of operating conditions. The boundary conditions is different for different operating conditions. So the differential equations developed by the Reynolds has no general solution. So Remendy and Boyd uses mathematical simulation to solve this differential equation and obtain approximate solution. And this approximate solution is presented in dimensionless form. The work by Remendy and Boyd is done in 1952, and the approximate solution, the Remendy and Boyd solution, is presented in dimensionless form. And what are those dimensionless parameters? It is explained here. And another scientist, Sommerfeld, also worked on the solution of Reynolds equation. Sommerfeld is also a scientist who works on the Reynolds equation, and he also suggested a solution of this Reynolds equation in this form: r by c into f equal to some function of r by c square into mu n upon p. In this solution, he defined a parameter that is dimensionless, this r by c square into mu n upon p, this r by c square into mu n upon p. Further, in honor of him, this parameter is known as Sommerfeld number. So remember that this is Sommerfeld number S. This is the S is the Sommerfeld number. What is the Sommerfeld number? R by c square into mu n upon p. R is the radius of journal, c is the clearance, mu is the viscosity, dynamic viscosity of lubricant, n is the rpm of journal, p is the bearing pressure. So always remember that this Sommerfeld number, it is very important parameter in design of journal bearing, and this is in the honor of Sommerfeld, because Sommerfeld had also worked a lot to get the solution of Reynolds equation, but the most acceptable solution is given by Remendy and Boyd solution. Remendy and Boyd also uses the solution and procedure given by the Sommerfeld, so they also use this number, Sommerfeld number. Okay, now look here, these two group of parameters which define the bearing, the H naught, this is the performance parameter, coefficient of friction F, flow of lubricant Q, temperature rise delta T. Now these parameters depends upon the dynamic viscosity mu, bearing pressure P, RPM of journal N, length of bearing L, diameter of journal D, clearance C, and beta. Beta equal to 360 degree for full journal bearing. Now by grouping this mu, P, and N, a dimensionless parameter is defined, that is mu n upon P, and we know that this is the bearing characteristics number. By grouping the L and D, another important dimensionless parameter is defined, that is L upon D ratio. By grouping the diameter of journal D and clearance C, another dimensionless parameter is defined, that is R upon C. And for this level, BTEC level, we always put the value of beta equal to 360 degree, because we assume that it is the case of full journal bearing. Now this H naught is defined by this H. For this H naught upon C is defined, because the Remendy and Boyd solution is presented in dimensionless form. So this dimensionless form, how the dimensionless forms comes, so this parameter is defined h naught upon c. H naught upon c is the dimensionless parameter. H naught is the minimum film thickness, c is the clearance, so it is the dimensionless parameter. And one angle phi, which tells about the where the minimum film thickness occurs, at which angle. This f is converted into r by c into f to define the dimensionless parameter. This q is represented in the form of q upon r, c and l to define a dimensionless parameter. Also qs upon q, side leakage qs upon q. The delta t is defined by P max. This delta T, temperature rise, depends upon the maximum pressure. So another dimensionless parameter is defined P upon P max to represent the temperature rise delta T. This parameter is defined by the Reynolds and Boyd, and there are the solution of Remendy and Boyd method is presented in several graphs. So to show the solution, also remember that the Sommerfeld number is also used, this S. Now this mu n upon P, R upon C is combined in form of Sommerfeld number, S equal to R by C square into mu n upon P. Now at final there are two parameters on that is under the control of designer, that is L upon D, this L upon D, L by D ratio, and Sommerfeld number R by C square into mu n upon P. These two parameters is under the control of designer. All these parameters is covered in these two dimensionless parameters, and by controlling these two parameters we have to control, means designer has to control these parameters. Which one? H naught upon C, R upon C into F, Q upon RCNL, QS upon Q, P upon P max. Okay, now come to the next slide. Here, these are the part of design data book of Mahadevan. In this table we have to know what is the suitable range of L by D ratio, C upon R ratio, maximum pressure P in case of different bearings. This is the automobile and aircraft engines. Here three types of bearing occurs: main bearing, crank pin, wrist pin. So this type of bearing, what will be the maximum acceptable value of bearing pressure is 5.5 to 12.8. Similarly, now I would like to highlight the steam turbine, the case of steam turbine. In case of steam turbine, the bearing used in the steam turbine has maximum pressure in range of 0.7 to 1.9 megapascal, and L by D ratio in the range of 1 to 2. The C upon R ratio in the range of 0.001. So this design data book gives the idea about the what will be the P max, what will be the L by D ratio, what will be the C by R ratio. This data is helpful to designer. So you have also refer this table to solve the numerical on design of journal bearing. Note the table number. This is the table number 15.11 of design data book of Mahadevan. Now this is the solutions obtained by the Raimondi and Boyd. There are several graphs obtained by the Raimondi and Boyd. Look here, this is the coefficient of friction variable R by C into F, and here bearing characteristic number, which is defined by Sommerfeld number, S equal to R by C square into mu n upon P. For different value of beta, there is a different graph. Similarly, this is for minimum film thickness variable H naught upon C. So similarly, there are several graphs obtained by the Raimondi and Boyd. We have not used the graph. We have to use this table. It is also proposed by Raimondi and Boyd. Here the L by D ratio, H naught upon C, Sommerfeld number S, position of minimum film thickness phi, coefficient of friction variable R by C into F, Q upon 2 RCNL, QS upon Q, P upon P max. These are the dimensionless parameters. We have already know these dimensionless parameters. It is already explained in the previous slide how this dimensionless parameter is required, why this dimensionless parameter is required. Now look here, this L by D ratio may be infinite, means long bearing. It may be 1, means L equal to D, means a square bearing. It may be 1 by 2, it may be 1 by 4. So for different L by D ratio, there are different values. How this tables is used, I will explain in numerical. Here you know that the design of journal bearing depends on these dimensionless parameters. Means we initially know L by D ratio and Sommerfeld number. By these two parameters, we have to calculate H naught upon C, eccentricity epsilon, position of minimum film thickness phi, R by C into F, Q upon 2 RCNL, QS upon P upon P max. So the design of journal bearing totally depends upon this dimensionless parameter. Now other than this value of L by D ratio, suppose here, look here, the L by D ratio is 1 by 2, here 1 by 4. 1 by 2 means 0.5, here 0.25. But in some cases L by D ratio is 0.4. Then what we do? It is 0.5, it is 0.25. In this table 0.4 is not given. For that case we have to use this equation here. This is the interpolation. Your L by D ratio is 0.4, so put here 0.4, and suppose we have to calculate the Sommerfeld number S, then the Y can be replaced by S. So S equal to S at L by D ratio 0.4 equal to 1 upon 0.4 Q into minus 1 by 8 into 1 minus 0.4 into 1 minus 2 into 0.4 into 1 minus 4 into 0.4 into Y infinite, means S infinite, means what will be the value of Sommerfeld number for L by D equal to infinite. It is given in the table. Similarly here Y1 means S1, because we are calculating the Sommerfeld number, means Y is S, so it is S1, means Sommerfeld number at L by D ratio equal to 1. Similarly it is Y 0.5 S 0.5 means Sommerfeld number at L by D equal to 0.5. Similarly, S at L by D ratio is 0.25, and here in all equations L by D is 0.4. By putting this, we can calculate the Sommerfeld number for L by D ratio 0.4. Okay, it is also again explained in, I will explain in the numerical. Now come to the design of journal bearing proposed by Remendy-Boyd. So it is also known as Remendy-Boyd method. This is the bearing, the red color is the bearing, this is the journal. Now this is the minimum film thickness H0, and phi defines the position of H0. This position is defined by the load acting on the journal. This angle is phi. This is the journal radius R, this is the bearing radius capital R, and the distance between the center of bearing means O and center of journal means O dash is called eccentricity E. Look this figure. I think it is clear now. H0 minimum film thickness, phi position of minimum film thickness, small r radius of journal, capital R radius of bearing, and the distance between O and O dash means center of bearing and center of journal is eccentricity E. Now these are the dimensionless parameter defined by the Remendy-Boyd, that is Sommerfeld number S here, S, it is by mistake it is written, so it is not required here. S is the Sommerfeld number, S is mu(n) upon P into R upon C square, and the another dimensionless parameter is L by D ratio. Again another dimensionless parameter is H0 upon C, phi. Eccentricity ratio epsilon is defined by E upon C. Eccentricity can be written as eccentricity here, look here, this is the eccentricity E. This E can be written as R minus R plus H0, because from O to this point is R plus, from O is the center of bearing, so the whole distance is capital R. If you subtract a small r and H0 from the capital R, it gives the eccentricity E. This distance E, look here, this distance is the E. E will be equal to, this is the total distance R, this is the total distance R, capital R, minus a small r, this, minus H0 gives the eccentricity E. So it is written R minus R plus H0. It is rearranged as R minus H0 upon C. So eccentricity ratio is nothing, it is the 1 minus H0 upon C. Means if you know H0 upon C, so we can directly know the eccentricity. Now the another important parameter is H0 upon C, minimum wall thickness variable. Phi, it gives the position of minimum film thickness. Eccentricity ratio epsilon, coefficient of friction variable R upon C into F, flow variable Q upon RCNL, QS upon Q ratio. QS is the side leakage, P upon P max pressure ratio. These are the dimensionless parameter defined by the Remendy and Boyle. So these all parameters is also defined here. So in the design of journal bearing, we have to use this table, because the performance of bearing depends upon the parameter L by D and S, Sommerfeld number. These two parameters are the initial values, means these are the parameters which is under control of designer, and by controlling these parameters the target of designer